Hello, let's have a visit. It's been a while, so I don't know if this is a chit chat Sunday or a conversation Tuesday or middle of the week Wednesday, or you know what I'm talking about. What's been going on in your life? I'm going to give you a tidbit of what's been going on in my life regarding chronic illness. If you can't see it, I'm wearing it. This discreetly disguised heart monitor. Yes. It's been almost a year and I get to wear it again, and I'll do a whole video on the heart monitor and the company that I'm wearing. I'll do that in another video. I know for my viewers who see me every day and know me, I had a rough couple of months and a few weeks ago I ended up in the ambulance and then taken to my neurologist, my cardiologist, and my primary doctor, and a lung doctor, and I even have a couple of specialty other places I get to go. And that is because I had some syncope episodes. Syncope is when you faint, but you are fainting because of two different reasons. One, your heart is not getting enough oxygen up to your brain, kind of like when you're standing there on the wedding altar and you see the groom lock his knees, or a bridesmaid or someone lock their knees for too long standing and they crash down. That's kind of one version of it, and that is generally heart related because the heart's not pumping enough blood up to your brain. The other version is Vasovagal Syncope. We're almost 100% certain that that is what mine was. And for about 3 days, wasn't feeling well, had a 5-day migraine. And then after that 5-day migraine kept going and going and going, the oddness in my body started happening. If you have ever had chronic migraines, chronic pain, you know that your body is not always firing 100%. Well, vasovagal is, I don't have it all figured out. I am not a medical professional, but I am wise to my own body. So I'll give you a description of what was happening to me. But I would get hot and cold, and not able to regulate my body temperature. Sleeping was very hard. You'd be freezing, then you'd be shivering, then you'd be hot. So the blankets went off and on, and this happened all through the day. And I started getting a little confused, and my words weren't coming out correctly. My blood pressure, when I would take it, would be really high 1 minute and really low a couple minutes later. When I didn't feel right in my head, that's the first thing I do, is I run and take my blood pressure. But because it was really off for me, really high for what my normal is, or really low, then I started to panic and hyperventilate, and that triggered with whatever else was going on in my body, which we find out is usually low potassium. When I have migraines, it causes me to have to go to the bathroom a lot and flush out my liquids, and with it flushes out my potassium. And I am low potassium, hypokalemia normally. So I was dropping my potassium way too fast for my body and not replacing it. And some pain, when the pain ramps up so hard in my body that there's nothing you can do, you're just like, oh, it hurts so bad. For those who might have ever experienced irritable bowel syndrome, it feels like you have knives going right into the middle of your intestines, really low, like it's going to be splitting you open. And that pain was too much, and I would pass out from the pain. And they assumed that that is a vasovagal nerve response. It goes all the way up from the top of your spine, passes past the heart, and goes all the way down to your bottom. And when you have pain and you clench and you do those things, it's the nerves inflame and squeeze on those that vasovagal nerve, and you pass out. Some people have like low blood pressure, and it's called POTS, I think, where they pass out. We have two places where you can get your autonomic function. So that is the autonomic part of your body, happens without you doing anything to make it happen. Your heart, it runs without you telling it to work. Your digestive system, a lot of things happen automatically. The need to go to the bathroom, your body tells you you have to go to the bathroom. Those symptoms are controlled by the autonomic system. My cardiologist is a new one. I got a gentleman who was so sweet, so kind, so listening, and my husband went with me, and I told him what had been happening over the last 5 days, the migraine, the passing out multiple times, and he took my history again. This doctor said, "You have what?" And I said, "Yeah, I have 3 generations up on my father's side, and they have had strokes and heart attacks." And so, lovely. My father passed at 50 of a heart attack. His brother, somewhere between 50 and 60s, not certain of the age, of a heart attack. Their father had a heart attack while on a treadmill at a doctor doing a heart monitor test in his 50s, 60s. And his father had a heart attack. And then my dad's mom has had a stroke, and my dad's mom's mom and dad have had strokes. So it runs pretty highly in my family, and being a chronic migrainer with aura, it raises my stroke level up a lot higher. If you didn't know that, if you have auras with your migraine, you are put a little bit notched higher of a possibility of having heart issues or stroke issues. So please see a neurologist if you haven't, and go through all of the proper details just to check out, to make sure everything's good up here, good in your heart, and get a baseline. So he said, let's get a baseline. Baseline for me started with going to my lung doctor. Had a full lung capacity test, breathing tests, to figure out what is causing this 2-month, 3-month long cough. A very bad asthmatic type of cough practically every night. But there is some nights where I don't get it. So it's really random. I'll cough a little bit in the day. I know when I go outside on a windy fall day, I've always had to take an inhaler because of the molds in the grass and the leaves that are wet that have fallen. And when he did his blood test on me, that was what came up high, was the Altanera something. It is the mold spores that are found on leaves and houseplants. And when he asked me, "Do you have a lot of houseplants?" I said, "Not so many houseplants, but I do have a few orchids." He said, "Oh, okay, well, how many?" And when I stopped long enough to start counting mentally in my head, he's like shaking his head. And he's from another country, so he wasn't familiar with how you grow orchids. I said, "But orchids are not grown in dirt and soil. They're grown in either bark or leca beads, clay beads. So there's not really a whole lot of mold spores going around in my orchid room." But he still asked how many, and I said, I lowballed him. I did. I lowballed him. I said 75. He said, "I thought you were going to say 3 or 4, but in reality, I have about 110. Well, one died yesterday. I have 109 orchids. So what am I going to do about that?" He's like, "You might have to move them. You might have to move them away from the bedroom that you sleep in, or sleep in another room, see how they do, or move them outside, or move." And I'm like, "I'm not getting rid of my orchids." But he said, "That's up to you, whether you want a life dealing with a response to an allergen, or whether you want to try to eliminate all allergens." He says if it was a cat or a dog, you'd have that decision too, whether you were going to keep the cat or the dog. But we're going to do a few things first before we go that drastic. We are getting all of the carpets changed in the house because they are very old. And we're assuming that's where the musty, old, northwestern, moldy smell comes in. And hopefully that's what's making me cough. But I digress. regressed. That's a coughing issue. This heart monitor, my doctor wanted that baseline, so he did the lung test. Then we're doing this heart monitor for 30 days or as long as I can tolerate it. And then we are going to do an echocardiogram. Then we get a calcium something. It's on a piece of paper. I can't remember it. A calcium test of the vein and how much calcium is building up in the veins or something like that. I'll put the name on the screen of what it really is. That's what's been going on with me, because they said, let's get a baseline so you aren't a candidate, or if you are a candidate already in the process of having bad heart or bad arteries, then they want to know about it. So this was a really good doctor. I'm glad he's doing all of this stuff so I can have peace of mind, or I can move forward with change. And that's another thing I have to do. But no, I have to change with the G, my eating habits and my exercise habits, because they did a cholesterol panel on me and a A1C sugar level on me, and it's been a year or two since I had them. Turns out, things have elevated, climbed. I have bad cholesterol levels. And A1C is pushing into the pre-diabetic borderline. Just better take care of myself. So that's what I get to do. I get to exercise more on that new exercise bike that I got for Christmas and try my best. You can only do your best, right? Some days you can't do much, but other days you can do a whole lot. Today, I'm going off to physical therapy. I'm making this video. I'm mopping my kitchen floor. And then I'm going through a spare bedroom. I love reading the comments, and I love commenting back and forth with you. It helps to make me feel not so alone in this world of chronic illness and life. I wish you wellness. I wish you peace. Until we talk again. Bye-bye.